Okay.
This sucks. Alright, there we go. Alright, well, what I'm going to be talking about is the American prison system and how it is flawed and corrupt and how we aren't even rehabilitating our prisoners at all. And when they get released, what's happening here is they're coming out, guess what? They're gonna, do the same thing over and over again. And then they're gonna get locked back up because that's just how it works here. And I'm going to start off by giving off some examples of some European countries as well that actually have this thing called a restorative justice, and it aims to repair harm caused by crime rather than to punish them. And I'm not by any means condoning things like rape or murder. Those things are well deserved. They deserve to be locked up. Just saying. Okay, so America has nearly it's not that much, less than 5% of the population. And we have about 25% of the world's total prison population. Isn't that insane? 25% and we're less than 5%. Out of every 100,000 people, 716 are incarcerated right now in America. Compared to, let's say, European countries their median is 135 per 100,000, Canada 188 per 100,000, New Zealand 192 per 100,000, and Japan 51 per 100,000, and Norway has 75 per every 100,000 as well. We send people for much longer sentences than they deserve. When I say that, I mean petty crimes, dumb people who are young making mistakes. That happens. Young kids with drugs. Some adults go through hard times, maybe. Might steal. Might try to rob a place. I believe those people can be rehabilitated with the proper help. Let's see. In the span of 5 years, let's see, give me 5 seconds to figure this out. Oh yeah, in Norway, in the past 5 years, 20% of Norway prisoners are reincarcerated, 20%, over 5 years theirs are. But in America, it's more like 76% are reincarcerated within 5 years. And they actually have restorative justice, which, like I said, aims to repair harm caused by crime rather than to punish them. Similar to rehabilitation. Basically, their population in prison has dropped by 78.6% in the past 4 years, and that's in Norway. That's in Norway. And I do actually have studies to back me up. Let's see, sentencingproject.org, right there as well. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is we're putting people in for far too long for petty crimes, and that's how we make hardened criminals. Without rehabilitation, without the proper help and guidance, why would we put citizens out on the streets again, knowing that they're going to reoffend? It's idiotic. I mean, we need to help them, otherwise it's just going to be a cycle that continues, a cycle of violence for everyone.
Questions? I have one. So, just a brief search on the internet, and I found on the WhiteHouse.gov that during Obama's presidency, they initiated a program, the Prisoner Reentry Programs, funded the National Reentry Resource Center. Do you have anything to speak on that?
The research I have was from 2014.
Okay. So that would be within his presidency, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, all the information I got was mostly from, let's see, sentencingproject.org, and then I have Washington Post, Business Inquirer, and I have a lot of other sites that I have written down on that paper, which I could show you if you want.
No, you're good. I believe you. I just wondered because you said that the United States hadn't had anything, and there's this right here.
Well, I just think we're going about it the wrong way, in my opinion. We're not doing what they're doing.
I wonder what the cost comparison is between reincarceration versus rehabilitation.
It's far cheaper far cheaper. I mean, I can't remember exact prices, but we actually, to keep them in there, we actually have to pay for their food and all that stuff. To rehabilitate them, I believe, from what I read, which it's been a minute,
Yeah.
but I didn't exactly write that down either. But yeah, I imagine it would be far cheaper, and I think it would be much more beneficial to society, in my opinion.
Who owns prisons in the United States?
That is a very good question. I am not quite sure about that, but I have heard things that they're like private-owned prisons, and that they actually make money off their prisoners, and that's why they keep them locked up.
And there's a lot of suspicion of corruption in that process.
Yes.
Shocker.
Yeah. Other questions?
It's corrupt.
What? I'm sorry?
No.
Okay. Yeah, the judges and so forth get
Oh yes.
kickbacks from the prisons.
Mhm.
I've seen quite a bit of evidence of that. There's a new program that the mayor of New York, I believe it's the mayor, no, it's the police chief, is responsible for, and he has started this big program where they're letting a lot of prisoners out, and they're working on reintegrating them and getting them in a situation where they won't reoffend.
Mhm.
Because you're right that they have problems, and so they go out and steal, which is no excuse, but that's their motivation because they're
Desperate. Yeah.
So I think it was 60 Minutes did a piece on him, and they showed the program, and it was extremely impressive. Their recidivism rates were just tremendously down. Other questions?
Like there's 13 privatized prisons.
Pardon?
13 privatized prisons.
Is Leavenworth one of them? Something sticks in mind that
Yeah,
it
the
is.
green prisons faster than we build schools.
Well, and the laws against making prisoners work, I think, are really counterintuitive, too.
It is, it's probably.
It is, I
Yes.
thought it was, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
How do I stop this and make sure it stays on here?
Still working.